He's got the whole world in his hands indeed. Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my WWE Raw review for this Monday night, May the 19th. May 19th, 2014. Spice. Today was May 19th. We didn't see Kane. Of course, referring to the release date of Kane's movie, See No Evil. I'm here to make it a See No Evil 2. Intriguing. Don't say May 19th. I remember that whole storyline. Anyway, tonight was May 19th. No Kane and, of course, no D-Bry. Of course, he's recovering from his injury. We would find out tonight the status of the World Heavyweight Championship, plus a new stipulation added to a match at Payback, and another match added for Payback as we had a Beat the Clock challenge to see who would be the #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship at Payback. Of course, the champ is Bad News Barrett, and tonight we're in his home country as the Road to Payback lands in the UK tonight. And it was an intriguing war headed towards Payback. Some intriguing situations happen on war tonight. As we begin war, it is like the perfect way to end war. Not to end war, but to begin war. That we're in London, right? And London crowds are always rowdy. That's why the War After Manias are always awesome, because the UK crowds stay for that war and make all these great chants. Well, of course, they were chanting along with the Wyatts as the Wyatts began war with the fans singing along. He's got the whole world in his hands. And Bray Wyatt, I've always, aka Husky Harris, of course, I've always been like, his wrestling abilities, like, okay, he's just a brawler, he just beats people up. But I've always said about Bray Wyatt, his promos have been excellent. And he's right about one thing in his promo. Cena does hide behind a smile. Like, Cena just goes and smiles and says, "Hi everybody, I'm John Cena. I don't care what you people think. I'm forced to smile because Vince won't let me turn heel because he doesn't want to lose money. Wait a minute, you lost money this past week because the stocks went up, or should I say down, after we signed a new contract with NBC Universal. But he doesn't want to lose more money if I turn heel." So Cena does hide behind a smile because he doesn't want to vent against the fans for booing his ass, especially here in London tonight, especially when this music hit doing the Bray Wyatt promo. Now, I kind of saw, I'm a wrestling fan. I've always said that. I've been a long-time wrestling fan, and I have a sense of when things are going to happen. Some things are predictable, especially during another match tonight, but I kind of predicted this spot, that when John Cena's music would hit, Harper and Ward would head out to the front and block Cena's entrance from the front. But if the front's blocked, Cena's going to come from the back. And that's exactly what happened. When Harper and Ward distracted with trying to see if Cena was coming from the front, Cena came from the back with Bray prone without any backup to get an FU from Cena. And then the other Wyatt members came and Cena hit. It was basically hit and run for Cena. He would later take on Warren's partner, Harper, in our main event this evening. So there you go. And Cena would have his own backup, as the Wyatts would have to contend with the Usos to be in Cena's corner tonight. Of course, we saw that 6-man tag last week, and now, of course, they would be in Cena's corner tonight to make it even for Cena. Now on to our next match. Sheamus against Cesaro. Because the King of Swing, accompanied by the Young Man. He is the Young Man. He is the Paris. Cuckoo, cuckoo. We're in London after all, home of the Beatles. You know, Liverpool. You know, England. Of course, chant friendly here in England tonight, especially during a certain Rosebud. Anyway, Cesaro and Sheamus. These guys are just brawlers. They're great athletes and just brawlers. And these guys just had a physical match tonight. They had a great match I heard on the main event, which ended in DQ. But this match ended, well, semi-clean with a little stretch. Of course, Sheamus and, like I said, these two guys are just brawlers. We didn't see Cesaro swing, disappointingly. Of course, Cesaro did try to tease it a few times, but of course, he came with his big muscular power moves and showed Sheamus as well. Of course, Cesaro tried every attempt in the book at avoiding the 10 beats of the, forget the word, the thing when Sheamus holds him against the ropes on the outside. He kept counting that and never got it. And of course, it was just a physical fly, and these two have good chemistry. I think they really had near fall and near fall, just great action for both these great athletes. I thought Sheamus was gonna turn heel soon, though. I thought they said they're gonna try to turn heel Sheamus during the European tour, or maybe after. Who knows? Well, these two have a good feud going, especially with the result of this matchup. But Sheamus went for another big move, and probably going to set up either the broke kick. Heyman had enough, and he distracted Mr. Sheamus with taking off his coat. It looked like Heyman was going to get a piece of Sheamus. But then, bang, a suplex move from Cesaro, taking advantage of that distraction from Heyman. 1, 2, 3, victory for the King of Swing. And even though Sheamus lost, he was trying to shake Sheamus, was trying to shake Cesaro's hand, but like Cool Hand Luke, Sheamus got blown off by Mr. Cesaro. I smell a feud between these two because there was a DQ, and of course Sheamus kind of got the victory swept out of him by the distraction from Heyman. And Heyman, shut up about Brock Lesnar being Taker. You're supposed to be pushing Cesaro, not shove down the fact that Brock Lesnar beat Taker 80 million fucking times down our throats. I'm sorry, but you're supposed to push Cesaro, not promote Brock Lesnar. Promote Cesaro more. Fuck Brock Lesnar. Anyway, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we had a beat the clock challenge to see who would face the Intercontinental Champion, B&B, Bad News Barrett, at Payback. We would have 3 matches. Of course, this beat the clock challenge, you had to set the time of the guy who would beat his opponent the fastest would be the one that faced Barrett for the IC Championship at Payback. First beat the clock match was Ryback, the big guy, as he likes to call himself now. He took on the Big E in the city of the home of Big Ben. So these two guys were just brawling, and Axel got a little bit involved because he kind of distracted Big E. It helped Ryback, because Ryback, so after all, the partners, thick and thin, they got good chemistry together. Ryback just pummeled on Big E for the majority of this matchup, with, like I said, with the help from the distractions from Curtis Axel. But indeed, as Ryback was taking control, and these two, they knew they had to beat the other fast. They want to set the time. This was the first match of the challenge. They want to set the precedent of the fastest time for the other guys to beat. So, we would see Ryback take control. We were his power moves, setting up the meat hook, and of course the shell shock and all that. But as he was going through all those moves, Big E came flying back with some big power moves of his own, as he would counter the shell shock, going for the big ending instead, and a 1, 2, 3 victory for Mr. Big E Langston. He won at about 4:45, I think was the time. 4:30 something. Forgot the time. But like 4:30. No, it wasn't 4:30. It was 5:02. 5:02. Yeah, it was 5:02. So 5:02 was the fastest time set by Big E. We would see 2 other matches and see who would beat or try to beat Big E's time. Now on to, well, it's not going to be like a match, it's more like a segment. We would see an attempt at a mixed tag match. Fandango and Layla was supposed to team up against Naomi and R-Truth. Now, we've been seeing this little angle with Fandango and Layla ever since Fandango dumped Summer Rae. Now, Summer Rae's been out shooting a movie with The Miz. We see The Miz back soon. Of course, the Shield 4 million. Another Shield, not Shield movie, the Marine movie. And I thought Summer Rae was going to come back last week, because I thought that she was going to get involved in the Fandango Dolph Ziggler match. Well, she didn't get involved last week. This week, she did. Summer Rae returned as the match was about to get underway. Summer Rae came out and got a little kiss on Fandango. And then after that, she had a little catfight with Layla. We've been talking, I think everyone's been seeing this feud from a mile away. Like, ever since this whole angle started with Fandango dumping Summer Rae, the storyline so Summer Rae can shoot a movie with Miz. I think we all knew there'd be some sort of angle involving Layla in some way at one point. At some point. And that point is now. As we would see the cat fight happen tonight between these two. So we'll see how WWE does when it comes to booking their feud and the hype for the feud. So let's see how it goes. And of course, Fandango's got himself tied up in a love triangle. So we'll see how he gets out of it. So there you go. Now on to the next segment, of course, the status of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Now, D-By's music hits. Now, I thought we were going to have like D-By's music hits, and then Wade Barrett would come out and say, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Instead, Stephanie McMahon came out instead to D-By's music, and then eventually have a montage of Mr. Barrett saying, I got some bad news, when it came to Stephanie revealing the news involving D-By's status as WWE World Heavyweight Champion. She's like, maybe I should strip D-By and give the title to Triple H or Batista or even Bad News Barrett. But then she's like, well, we didn't really get a clear answer out of her by saying, I'm not stripping D-By of the championship. But next week on Raw, D-By is going to have to surrender the title. Now, I kind of see where this is going. I think D-By is going to come out next week and won't surrender the title, so he won't be stripped of it at all. Now, here's significance. Next week, it's the last Raw before Payback. So something has to be done next week. Something clear. Whether they're going to have D-By wrestle fast, have him come back against Kane, or have like a number one tennis match. Like I said last year they had Dolph Ziggler out with a concussion before Extreme Rules last year as world champion. He was supposed to be in a triple threat match against Jack Swagger and Bill Del Rio. Ziggler was out. They had Swagger against Del Rio. Del Rio won in a number one tennis match. And then he would take on Dolph Ziggler in a screw job of a match after Dolph Ziggler came back from his concussion. I hope that doesn't happen to D-By. And ironically, the pay-per-view that Dolph Ziggler lost the World Heavyweight Championship on his first defense and his first match back after his concussion was Payback. It's the Payback cuss. So we'll see what happens with this whole scenario with, D-By, whether or not he'll sort of the title or not. We don't know how long he's gone for. I don't think he really exactly say how long he's out for. If he's out for 2 months, 3 months, but he's going to be out for some time. But we'll see if it's like a week or two or not. We'll probably get the official word next week when D-By would have to surrender the championship or not next week on Raw. Now on to our next matchup as the Job Squad. The Union Jacks. 3MB would come out. And indeed, it would be a job for Heath Slater to do against Rusev. The Ravishing Russian Lana came out interrupting the spiel of the Union Jacks, no hornswoggle in sight. They probably wouldn't let a midget in the country. Same with El Torito. We didn't see him or Los Matadores either unless they were relegated to superstars, which likely happened, or main event. Anyway, what better way to get heat on you than to talk Russian stuff, talk about Russia in UK, in a European country. You don't get any more heat. You're in a European country where, it's next to Asia. Asia is the next continent next to Europe. I don't want to talk political, so I'm not into that stuff. I don't want to talk about the whole Ukraine thing. I'll leave that to the political people on this channel, on this YouTube, internet world. Anyway, we had Rusev come out and beat the crap out of Heath Slater. I said he's going to beat him in speed up. Beat the clock. I knew he was going to beat him like in less than 60 seconds. More like 30 seconds. I think that's how long it was. I think Rusev may have a new move. Like when Lana says, Rusev, crash! Like Rusev would set up the accolade by doing like a side move. And then go for the accolade. Instead, he just stomped on Heath Slater's back and then set up the accolade. Rusev match is as boring as a Kardashian wedding. Kardashians are easy targets. There you go. Rusev wins. Let's move on. At least the match was quick, though. we didn't have to suffer through it. So, there you go. Next matchup, the second match of our Beat the Clock Challenge. Big E sitting firm with the fastest time, 5 minutes and 2 seconds. We would see if Alberto Del Rio or Rob Van Dam would beat that time, as they would face off in the second Beat the Clock Challenge. Two former Intercontinental Champions. Was Del Rio ever Intercontinental Champion? I don't think he was. But I know RVD was Intercontinental Champion. I know that. Multi-time. And these two had a great feud last year over the World Heavyweight Championship. Renewed feud tonight. Decent little matchup between these two. Great action. With big Enziguri kicks, big nasty kicks. These guys are good kickers. You know, good to leg kicks. You know, RVD's fast on his feet. So is Del Rio. And we saw both guys nail each other with some big, nasty kicks. And we didn't see knee pads on Del Rio tonight. That was kind of weird to see him wear no knee pads tonight and try to set up the cross-arm breaker. Like he goes, I think he did attempt the cross-arm breaker at one point of the evening as would come in with some big, nasty, high-flying moves of backstabber. But then indeed, as RVD was getting back in action, he tried for a 5-star. But Del Rio got out of it. And then RVD would come in with he was going for like some sort of rolling thunder move, and he kind of nailed it. That's when he was setting up for the 5-star and missed it. But then as Del Rio was going for another big move, RVD kind of surprised him. And they went for a 1-2-3, kind of a roll-up. That's kind of a weird ending for the matchup. But what was significant was RVD's time. 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Was the new time to beat. So RVD had the fastest time. Going into our last match, which we'll get to shortly, will RVD sit firm and be the new number one contender? We would all wait and see. But now on to our next matchup, which I knew was a clusterfuck almost waiting to happen. Now the match was Batista taking on Seth Rollins. Now the snip was that the Shield and the Evolution other members, of course referring to Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Triple H, and Randy Orton, would be banned from ringside. Of course, the new stipulation, no holds barred, 6-man elimination match, or as I like to call it, elimination match to make Batista eliminated first so he can make his movie. They're probably gonna some sort of stipulation with him getting injured during that match to be eliminated, so they can wind him off, because he's supposed to leave at the Payback. I thought he was supposed to leave at the Extreme Rules. But he may want to stay till Payback. Especially when they were chanting Daniel Bryan to him, because of course the move was about him leaving, because he didn't want to lose the D-Buy, blah, 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 ego. But the stip was that the only people allowed at ringside, with all the other members of Shield and Evolution banned, was the only people allowed was authorized personnel. And I was like, I know what's gonna happen. I saw this like 10 years ago. Like, Triple H came out doing a match once when Ric Flair was in Evolution. He came out saying, "Oh, hi, everybody. The official personnel. I'm the guest ring announcer. Flair's the timekeeper. Batista's the timekeeper. And Randy Orton's the enforcer." I knew that was gonna fucking happen. They're gonna find a loophole to make Evolution involved in the matchup. Be official personnel, with Triple H being the official ring announcer, and Randy Orton being the official bell ringer. This is exactly what happened. I knew that was gonna fucking happen. When that was happening, I was like, they're gonna make themselves official personnel to get through that stipulation. Well, Seth Rollins decided to turn that against them. That their big epic plan backfired right in their face, as he let Mr. Brad Maddox name official commentators. Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. Now, yes, they had a stupid stipulation. They had to fight through that loophole. But it was, especially when we saw the match go on, it would be a great way to hype up their match at the Payback. I finally got it added some sort of stipulation. Even though it's a decent stipulation to write off Batista being an elimination match, he'll probably be the first eliminated. So he can be like, beat me in 2 minutes so I can fly up and do my fucking movie, or promote my movie. Anyway, with everybody at ringside, of course, Triple H, Orton, of course, Reigns and Ambrose, we would see Rollins take on Batista, and Batista came with his power moves, and Orton, Triple H was trying their best to get involved. But of course, they knew that if they were to get involved, we would see Reigns and Ambrose get involved too. It eventually would come to that. But before that, we would see Rollins come flying back. And I do mean literally flying back. I've been saying this for weeks. When the Shield came in, started to become really popular, being faces. I kind of was a Reigns guy, especially after the Rumble. But after the Elimination Chamber, I've been impressed with Rollins more. He is a high-flying guy. He's a great athlete. Here's a dream match. Rollins against Dolph Ziggler. That would be a great... I would love to see that match. These two guys are just great athletes. That would be a classic. That would be a great match. Make that happen, WWE. One day, make Seth Rollins against Dolph Ziggler. That'd be fun. Anyways, Rollins is taking advantage and trying to go for some big high-flying moves. He did try to go for a big move. Now, this is how the match ended. Seth was on the top rope, Repping got distracted, and Triple H pushed off Seth as Randy Orton was distracting the referee. So then, after Triple H pushed off Seth Rollins, here comes Reigns and Ambrose brawling with Batista and Triple H. The brawl was on outside the ring. We actually saw they had a German announce table tonight. Pissed they didn't break it. The German announce table could be like the new Spanish announce table in the UK. Instead of having a Spanish announce table, they have a German announce table. Fucking break it. Because we saw Ambrose run from both tables to the ring post, kind of like the same movie he did during Extreme Rules. But then the ball was on the outside, and Triple H would beat up Mr. Rollins, causing a disqualification. So all 6 men would get it on, and would just pound on each other. And Evolution kind of took control. But then they were setting up the triple powerbomb Batista again. Then, of course, Evolution won. The crowd went nuts during this promo, especially when Rollins hit some big moves. And then eventually, after Ambrose's big move from the tables, we saw when Reigns speared Batista, the crowd just went berserk. It was just a brawl. That's a good thing. Even though they had a stupid stipulation, have loopholes too. The only good thing about this match, even though they had a screwy ending with the DQ, the only good thing was it hyped up more their feud. It gave more hype to their feud. It gave more promotion and more intensity for their feud in their match at Payback. I love the match at Extreme Rules. Ben and I thought it was going to be very fun. And now that it's... They vote outside the ring no matter what. But now that it's all legal, that it's no holds barred, that it's officially stipulated legal, it's going to be a brawl at Extreme Rules Part 2. Basically, it's what it is. But it's at Payback. So it's going to be a fun match. And this match tonight kind of hyped it up with the disqualification ending. Just a big brawl. It's going to be intense at Payback in Chicago. So, there you go. There you go. Next matchup, we have Londoner Paige, the Divas Champion, take on Crazy Girl. No, I'm not talking about AJ. I'm talking about the new Crazy Girl, Alicia Fox. She's like having a meltdown. I think it's a character now. You know, like if she loses, she goes nuts. We saw last week build it. I think she said like a few weeks ago. She's like, I got the new Alicia Fox. Where the new Alicia Fox is a crazy psycho woman who bitches about losing. And she lost last week to Paige, and I think she lost again. I lost my TV signal for a minute during this matchup as Alicia Fox just brought outside the ring for a little bit. Even smashed Paige against the ropes. But they're making it, like, Paige needs to have more offense. They're making her look like the underdog all the time. Was she? Super Paige? Because you call it Super Cena, Super Bryan, Super Punk. Like, they get the asses beat, and they come back. You know, like maybe Super Paige. But anyway, maybe towards the match, my signal went out. You know, like one of my TVs went out. You know, my other rooms were fine, but I was watching it from the living room. And the living room TV went out, so I missed the ending of the match. When I turned my TV back on, Alicia Fox was prancing around in King's Crown. So that means Paige won again. Probably with the Paige turner or a submission. And Paige Won again. That means Alicia Fox lost it again. This is an ongoing thing. It could give Alicia Fox more credibility again. You know, she's been on the bottom. She was a former Divas champion, love her or not. And this is good for her character. You know, she's been overshadowed. A lot of Divas been overshadowed by the Total Divas crew. Getting all the spotlight. Unless you're Paige, the anti-diva. But this whole thing with Alicia Fox making down a lot, it's adding on. You know, it's catching on. She put on JVL's hat last week, and this week she puts on King's Con. I like girls in hats. That's one of my turn-ons. Seeing girls in hats. And seeing Alicia Fox rock that hat is once again fun tonight, seeing her wear King's hat. So, there you go. Now on to our final IC Championship Beat the Clock Challenge match. 4:15 was the time. We would see it either Mark Henry or Dolph Ziggler, mentioned him earlier, would take on the challenge of beating that clock and try to beat RVD's time. Very interesting matchup. Mark Henry heel now. Like, Mark Henry needs to turn heel again. You know, he's an okay babyface, but I've always said this, especially when you had Brodus Clay and Tenzai, and I said this when they were a tag team, they needed to be heels. I wish they were heels at one point, because if they were a heel tag team, instead of the goofy, goody two-shoe babyfaces that they were, they would have been an epic tag team, like a dominant tag team, just beat people up. Like two big, tough, evil guys, it'd be interesting. And Mark Henry needs to be evil again. Babyface is okay, like I said, but heel's good. And this is a good matchup. Ziggler kind of nailed like a inverted version of the not the zigzag, but the Famouser. Because, hey, Mark Henry's 400 pounds. So, Dolph had to improvise. And the match got down to the final minute. And these guys were just fighting tooth and nail. And it was a heartbreak of an ending. Ziggler nailed the zigzag with like 10 seconds left in the clock after Mark Henry tried to nail the world's strongest slam. Like, both guys had opportunities to beat the other, especially in the last minute. But none of them could take advantage because after their move, like Mark Henry nailed like a power slam to Ziggler, but they couldn't get up in time to take advantage of getting the victory. That's, like I said, what happened to Ziggler, and it was a heartbreak. With 10 seconds left, he nailed the zigzag, but he couldn't get to Mark Henry to pin him in time. As he went to pin Mark Henry with that zigzag, it was like 2-1, too late. Nobody won. Nobody beat RVD's time, which meant that RVD, Rob Van Dam, would be the one to take on Bad News Barrett at Payback. So as RVD came out to celebrate, bang! Boom! Here comes the Bull Hammer Elbow. And Wade Barrett. And London went nuts. Because I knew it. If Wade Barrett would make an appearance tonight, Bad News Barrett, the London crowd was going to go nuts. Of course, you heard the whole crowd of you just standing up. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. I want that shirt. Anyway, it was fun to see Wade Barrett out there. Yeah, he's giving credibility again to the IC Championship. And hopefully, like I said many times, especially after Extreme Rules, that Wade Barrett's going to jump to the World Heavyweight Championship. Too bad he can't take advantage now if D-Bar is stripped or surrenders it next week. So now, on our next segment, an interview segment. We've seen interview segments, but I don't remember the last time we had an interview segment in the ring, especially for a guy like Adam Wells. I think we had to do Fandango. We had Scalamoose, London doing a Fandango tonight. You know, the I think we got a new Fandango as the crowd was humming. Hey, even Janet Adam Wells' song during the Wyatt's match, which I'll get to in a minute. So we had Adam Wells come out and the crowd was singing the theme song throughout the entire segment. Now, I didn't like Adam Wells' debut. You know, he's starting a feud with Swagger, or as he likes to call him, Jackie and Zebby. Don't be a lemon! Be a rosebud! While sucking on a sucker. Oh, lollipop. That must be his gimmick. Besides the whole party time, all the time gimmick. Just the lollipop. Anyways, Adam Wells was talking about his little pops with Jackie and Zebby. They would indeed come out. And the crowd were all humming the Adam Wells theme song. This is probably the segment that Animals needed to get over. Because he had a weak debut, a weak start. He hadn't had a match yet. He's just been coming in these silly things. But it's the first time we ever seen him get physical with anybody. Swagger would attack him from behind. And then Mr. Rose would come back with some power moves of his own. I think a match is going to happen at Payback. Either pre-show or on the main card. They got to have Mr. Rose wrestle a match. But at least he finally got over. This is a segment to get him over. You know, because the crowd was singing his theme song, so it couldn't get him over finally. Especially with his whole, he's a UK guy as well. So there you go. Aussie and Aussie. But who knows? He's a foreigner. Anyway, on to our next match, the main event. John Cena, of course, the man who is faster than Rey Mysterio, more powerful than a Big Show, able to bury careers in a single bound. Maybe not the Wyatts, but everybody else. Super Cena, But tonight, he actually made Harper look very good tonight. Luke Harper, I've always said this about the Wyatts, that they're not the best wrestlers, they're just brawlers. They just like stand there and just punch and kick. But Harper, I've been impressed with him. He had some great moments during the match between the Wyatts and the Shield and Elimination Chamber. And once again, he really impressed me tonight. He looked good in his matchup, despite being almost another typical Super Cena match. But he looked great. With some great power. He had that big, nasty kick. And a big fly move again over the middle. Well, that was cool to see that again. And even Cena came in with trying to find out to do the same old shit by doing Hurricanrana again. For the first time in ever. Of course, like I said, Cena would have backup Usos. Now, I would like to see Warren and Harper take on the Usos for tag team championships. That's what I think they're going for. You know, they had them in the 6-man tag last week, so I think they're going for that. I think they're looking for the Wyatts to be the number one contenders for the tag titles. I would like to see that match. Be interesting. You know, contrast of styles. The Brawlers against the High Flyers. And of course, the Usos would indeed get involved in this matchup with Bray and Rowan trying to get involved. And the Usos came in with some big flying moves until both were taken out by Fast and Furious Sister Abigail's by Bray Wyatt. And then, of course, Bray Wyatt would eventually get involved with Cena, causing disqualification. A lot of DQs tonight, but they were necessary to hype up the feuds for the Payback. Of course, Cena and Bray Wyatt will face off in a last man standing match. And during the matchup, like I said, they were humming Animals' theme song. The crowd was. Wasn't it weird they were humming Animals' theme song during a Wyatt's match instead of singing He's Got the Whole World in His Hands? And they would have time for that. So after the DQ, of course, Cena just loves the fans. Like, he's forced to just, like I said earlier, Wyatt is white, Cena hides behind a smile. He just stands there, especially doing Five Knuckle Shuffle with the fans, because John Cena sucks, you know, same old shit. Cena sucks, you know, he's just saying, I'm just going to stand here and smile because I'm forced to, because I can't turn heel. So he does hide behind a smile. So after that, after the DQ with Usos taken out by the Sister Abigails, Cena would eventually get Sister Abigail as well. Not once, but twice. Once in the ring, then outside the ring, Cena would get Sister Abigail on top of the steps. He just got his ass pounded. So, we began War and ended War the same way, with the Wyatts and the UK fans singing, He's got the whole world in his hands. That's how we would. So we ended War, like I said, the same way we began, with the Wyatt standing tall over a prone Cena, singing, He's got the whole world in his hands indeed, giving Bray more momentum and more steam as he heads towards Payback. Now, Payback's in Chicago. You think the UK fans were tough on Cena? Wait till Chicago at Payback. Come on, Chicago's probably the number one anti-Cena city. Remember WrestleMania 22. And of course, be more specific. Remember Money in the Bank 2011. Anytime Cena's in Chicago, he is hated on, as he is in London. If you were to, like, rank the cities by what city is Cena the most hated at, I think Chicago's probably number one. London's probably number two. So there you go. Cena Bray Wyatt feud heating up as we all went through the UK. So next week, we're going to get probably some new matches made for Payback. We only got Cena and Bray Wyatt. And of course, Shield and Evolution. Now we got RVD against Ray Barrett. I hope to get a Animals Jack Swagger match, plus a match involving the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in some way, shape, or form. Either a number of contenders match, a tournament to crown a new champion, or if D-Bry is able to defend the title, he'll defend it. But we'll see if he surrenders the championship or not. But something has to be done next week about the championship as we head towards Payback in 2 weeks. That is it for my WWE Raw review for this evening. Thank you all very much for watching. With that in mind, you've been attacked by the review from Zach. Have a great night, everybody. Yeah. Or should I say yes?